Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. There's some clips that I put together. These are over a week old. I did a day out before I had the mad dash up to Middlesbrough, as I explained earlier. And I haven't done anything with the clips and the stills that I took because it was a very disappointing trip, which surprised me because it shouldn't have been. I started off at Martin Down, which I've been to before. I haven't been there for quite a while though. And there are some burnt tip orchids, and somebody's been playing with the names. Apparently now they're just burnt orchids, which is a stupid name because they don't look all burnt, they just look like the tip is burnt, hence burnt tip orchids. Anyway, that's the closest place I could expect to see them to where I live. The Martin Down is between Salisbury and Blandford, and I know where they are because if you didn't know where they were, you probably missed them. It's just a few small clusters in one place, as far as I know. I'm told there are some others in another area, but given how difficult they are to spot, I've never found the others, so I would need help. Anyway, that's specifically what I went to see, but there should have been, and I say should have been, other orchids out, and there weren't. Basically, I scanned the sky, and apart from a military helicopter, I couldn't see any buzzards, I couldn't see any red kites. The bird life seemed a bit thin on the ground, quite honestly. Now, there's something going wrong at this place. I don't know what. And it could just be that it's got so popular, it's full of people. It's supposed to be a nature reserve. Yeah? Well, when they're full of people, the nature goes to the next door area, which could be private farmland. And so you can't see it anymore. You drive it out, basically, by just having too many people. And that may be the case. I don't know. But anyway, we'll get going. As I say, it wasn't a very successful trip, and because I was disappointed with Martin Down, I went to Badbury Rings on the way back, sort of. And I didn't even go up to the rings because I did the area that with the white helleborines and the bird's nest orchids, and there wasn't one. There was nothing. Absolutely no orchids in that area at all. And I thought, well, given Badbury Rings is quite a climb, and this is already the end of the day, and it was sunshine, I was hot, I thought I've had enough, so I just went home. Anyway, let's have a look through the clips. So this is the sort of habitat and Martin Down on the higher areas. The lower areas are just grass with very little vegetation other than grass. The type of orchids that I've come to see, if the grass isn't really short, they won't grow, and there has to be virtually no nutrients and a very thin topsoil. So this area wouldn't be any good. This area is really strange. There's huge tussocks sticking up. It makes walking really difficult because you put your foot in what you think is grass and your foot turns over. But the sort of area where the orchids would be growing is like this. Very, very short turf with very little nutrients and very little topsoil. Now, this area hasn't got any of those orchids in as far as I know, but as this is the range, as it's known as, I thought I'd have a look because there are supposed to be some here. But when you see what I would have been looking for in that area, you can see why I didn't find anything. Just didn't. And this was the only orchid I found, an early purple gone over. Right, as the thing says, I'll shut up for a bit and you can have a listen to some birds singing rather nicely. Okay, so these are the orchids. This is me trying to get the camera to focus, unsuccessfully. and I had my video camera balanced on my DSLR to try and get the height right, and it kept falling off. I was getting annoyed, quite honestly. But there we go, look. But eventually I stuck it back and it suddenly came into focus. So that's a clip of the burnt tip orchids, as I call them. And you see the little stones around them, a little stone circle, so that people don't tread on them. And I thought, to get the scale, I need to stand up and film this area now. So this is what we're now looking at. That's the little circle of stones, and that's the main path. So as you can see, with their tiny, tiny little scale, they'd have got trampled on if those little stone circles weren't there. So the idea was to get some scale. Yeah, disappointing. These are nowhere near as tall as they should be. Again, a dry spring, no moisture. They haven't grown properly, and there's far fewer spikes than there used to be. These little groups are going to fail soon if we don't get a change in the weather patterns, which will be a shame. But there we go. That's how small they are this year. They should be at least twice as tall as that. So there we go, burnt tip orchids of Martin Down. Whoops, and me knocking the camera over.